What's up, guys? We are back, feeling good, energized, and in routine.
Yes.
So, welcome back to our podcast. This is Money Body Goals. My name is Dalton DeCastro,
I'm Ryan DeCastro,
and I am a personal trainer and coach.
and I am a wealth coach and a certified financial planner.
So, you know, thinking about just our prep and everything that we've been doing lately, I've been kind of like looking back in our old days, back when we were like training and eating, pretty much like we weren't actually competing. And I'm thinking about like what is advice that I would give myself if I was in my 20s still, coming from us in our position now. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to your younger self as advice?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways you can go about that question.
Go for it.
But the biggest thing that comes to mind for me is like, I am proud of myself for how hard I worked in my 20s.
Hmm.
And I think that that's what a lot of people need to do when you're young is like, especially early 20s, just do whatever you can so that you always have money coming in.
Hmm.
Like, even like, I understand people might not work throughout a school year because they're busy with their studies and everything, like I was, but try to get a full-time job during the summer. Like, try to work full time would is amazing having that kind of income, but if it's a part-time job, like, get three part-time jobs. Just always be in a position where you have enough money to like actually go out and have a good time with your friends. Like, you don't have to be so focused on how much you're saving, how much you're spending, like what your budget is. That comes later, but I think if you're in a position where you're doing everything you can to work hard and not be in debt and try to avoid debt as much as possible, then
Yeah.
I think that's just going to set you up so well for the future.
So you're saying that you wouldn't recommend getting a part-time job while being in school, or you're saying that you should get a part-time job while you're in school so that you have money coming in?
I think it depends on your workload, but if you're someone who, let's say, your parents aren't helping you pay for school, then chances are you're going to have to find some sort of job during the school year
Because
just to be able to go out for dinner, like go out for drinks with your friends, like pay for groceries.
yeah.
It's going to suck if you're in a place where like money is so tight that you're like scraping for pennies.
I think also when you're at that age, it's like a make or break time for you to learn how to grind because yes, you have a full workload for school, but you're also teaching yourself how to manage your time better and also manage your money better
Mm-hmm.
at a young age. Yeah, of course, most of the money you're going to be making is either going to go towards school so that you're not in debt, or if you have the luxury of your parents helping you out, then that money either is going to get saved or you can use it, to hang out with your friends and go do some fun stuff. Because we obviously recommend still doing some of the fun and exciting things while you're at a young age.
There's no such thing as burnout when you're that young. It's like there's a difference between hating what you do for work and burning out.
Yeah.
So I think you're in a position where you can work all day, go out at night, have a great time with your friends, stay up late, wake up first thing in the morning, go get a workout in, and show up for your shift. Like, that was my life during my summers between school.
Yeah.
And I think it's very doable. And at some point, like, yeah, it's going to suck. And you're probably not going to love what you're doing, but it's only temporary.
The early 20s for sure is just your hustle mode because that's exactly what both of us did before I met you. Well, actually, early 20s was when I met you, but like our first 2 years of dating, like first actually 4 or 5 years of us dating, I think I had three jobs. I was still in school. That's literally our conversation we had when we first met was like how busy both of us were.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we still managed to do all those jobs, be in school where you were done, but I was still in school, and maintain a relationship and see each other. So it's like you teach yourself a lot of important lessons that early in your life so that once you're like past your mid 20s entering your 30s, you're not like confused and don't really know how to make money or how to balance life.
Yeah.
And also, hopefully, with all the money coming in from all those jobs that you're doing, you're saving money. So,
I think as long as you're saving enough for what you need to cover your bills, like obviously keep your bills as minimal as possible
mhm.
when you're young. You know, you don't need to be financing a vehicle. You don't need to be
Yeah,
taking on unnecessary debt. Like if you have the luxury of having like a beater car that's passed on from your parents, like drive that thing for as long as you can.
we both were in that position. You had your Corolla or Camry,
Yeah.
and I had my Neon and my ML, and I drove those things literally into the ground.
That is so much more worth it. Like, yeah, it's a crappy car, but
Who cares?
compared to having like a big financial obligation of like
Yeah.
paying off a car loan, that's not something you want to do right away when you're just starting out.
I think a bigger flex is just having a car, regardless if it's a piece of shit or not,
Yeah.
and not being in debt because of it. You can get to where you need to go and you can make money the way you need to. You never have to rely on anybody else. You don't have to take the bus. You don't have to rely on Uber. Like,
Hmm.
I think that's a bigger flex than you being like, oh, I don't have a car. Oh, I don't have a license. Oh, I don't have this.
Yeah.
Can you pick me up?
And same thing when it comes to like living at home for a
Yeah.
year or two. Like if you have the opportunity to do that, like yeah, it's not always fun moving back in with your parents, and
You're saving money though.
you're
It's
you're saving so much money, especially if you're hustling and you're working all the time.
yeah. I think people it depends on a couple things. Like, if you're worried about your ego and being like, oh my God, all my friends have their own houses, all my friends have moved out, and I'm still living at home, like,
Like
who
first of
cares?
all, the way things are going these days with the cost of living, the real estate market, like no one, it's just not realistic to own a home in your 20s anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you live in like a super small town and everything's so much cheaper there.
Yeah. But people still do. And like, that's fine. Like, that's what a lot of people wanted.
It's possible if that's like your biggest goal that you're trying to accomplish, then sure. But I think you have to understand that you don't need to be in a rush to do these things.
Yeah. I think like if I was so stressed out all the time because of such a big mortgage that I had to, you know, be able to pay for, that would be worse than me being like, oh, I'm living at home,
Yeah.
because you're saving money. And even if you are paying rent to your parents, you're helping them out. Like,
It's definitely not
you're
as
not.
much as you would be putting towards bills if as a homeowner.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like you don't have to really be in a rush to meet the love of your life or have kids, get married. Like no one is doing that in their 20s
You
anymore.
operate on your own timeline.
You're 30, I'm 31. I've seen so many people that just got engaged this year.
Yeah.
So I think things are not as traditional as they used to be.
Yeah. People used to get married at like 20
In
back in
high
the day.
school, I thought I was going to be married by 26, have two kids by like 29, have a home. Like that was the goal back then. But then as I got older, it's like, why would you, first of all, rush into those things when you're not ready,
Hmm.
either like mentally ready or financially?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, yes, it all just depends on what you want, right?
Hmm.
If that's really what you want, go do what you want to do. Like, no one's.
But that is definitely not the standard.
No, it's changed for sure, and I'm kind of happy about it
Yeah.
because it puts a lot less pressure on us, right? Not that I would allow it to get to a point where I feel pressured and I have to do something to please other people, but like, I'm not in any rush for anything. Like, there's no timeline. We're really just living our best life and trying to just continue to grow.
Well, my priority is being in a position where I can save money at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So keeping our expenses low and making as much money as you can, like that's when you're really going to feel financially free
Yeah.
and you're going to feel rich is when you have such a big surplus of income that you're not spending on bills or children and you can really use that money for whatever you want.
Yeah. I think for myself, a lot of my early 20's consisted of lots of social outings and partying. And I don't even think I would take that back
Hmm.
because I got it out of my system.
Yeah.
right? There are people that are still in their 30s right now that like feel the need that they have to be partying all the time. And like, do you, that's your choice. But I'm glad that I was able to get that out of my system early so that I could enjoy my early 20s. And then now that I'm in my 30s, like that isn't even crossed my mind. Like if someone says, hey, let's go clubbing, like I'll kick rocks. No.
Respectfully pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you.
And I was the same. I think if I could go back, I would try to understand earlier what impact that's going to have on my body.
Hmm.
Like understanding macronutrients and like how that all works, like what I'm consuming, just understanding how what I'm putting into my body is going to affect the way that I look. Because
Hmm.
eventually that does catch up to you.
Yeah.
Unless you have amazing genetics, most people do not.
Like for the amount of drinking and shitty eating that I was doing, I still was progressing every single year. Like I still looked better and better every year. I never let go of myself. I made up for the amount of partying that I did with the activities that I had.
Hmm.
So, okay, night out drinking, next day I'm busting ass in the gym.
Yeah.
I'm having the best workout of my life.
And I
Like,
think a lot of, so that was something else I was going to say is like try to do some form of physical activity. So I was never athletic.
mhm,
So I was doing the partying without doing any of the exercise. So there was no balance.
yeah.
It was like going out, having fun with my friends, or studying.
And that's where you started to get a little chunky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you discovered the gym. And once you discovered the gym as an outlet and you fell in love with it, it became a passion. That's where that balance was created. For me, I had that. So I always partied and I always worked out. Like
Mhm.
my activity was always high. I played a lot of sports. So I can understand where you're coming from, where you're saying if you're going to be doing all those things, make sure you're active, make sure you're into something that's going to balance it.
Yeah, whether it's like a team sport through your school or some sort of like activity that you're doing with a group outside of work or school,
Yeah.
I think that's really
Get
important.
into running.
Yeah, that's
Like,
the cheapest
yeah, literally
option.
go outside and run. It's doable. Um, I think some advice that I would have given my 20-year-old self, I think would, I'll be completely honest. I think the advice I would give my 20-year-old self would be stop doing so many stupid things. I did a lot of dumb stuff. I learned a lot from them. So I'm glad that after all the stupid things that I did, I taught myself what never to do again. But if I could go back, there were some things that I would say, like, okay, pump the brakes, like that you don't need to do that.
Like what?
We don't need to go that deep into it. There's some
Like what?
no, we're not going to go there. If you know me and you're watching this podcast, you would probably know what I'm talking about. Little one of the things I could share is like don't text and drive.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
stupid things like that, right? Like you remember when that happened? Like that was a big chunk of time that was wasted in my life for something so stupid. Like little things like that. If I could go back and say, "Hey, just get to the destination and then go on your phone after," little things like that, I would take that back, you know. Um, just things like that, like things that can have a big impact, even though in the moment it didn't feel like it was that much.
Yeah, use your head.
Yeah, just
Use your head a little bit
like
better.
I actually look back at how my parents raised me, and every single time I ever went out with my friends, my parents would say, have fun. But the one thing that my dad would always say to me before I left, which had the most impact now that I think about it, but then it didn't, was he'd always say, don't do anything stupid. He would say that every single time I left the house. And
I guess he really knew you
he really knew me.
better than you knew yourself.
And he wasn't wrong. Like there was a lot of stupid things that I did.
Unfortunately, he had to say that to you.
And I guess I didn't listen enough. But you know what? Now that I look back, I appreciate the fact that he did say those things. I wish that I listened better. But I would, if, in my future with kids, I would tell my kids, don't do anything stupid.
But obviously, that wasn't effective.
But I would give them more like of a
A
explanation.
reason behind it.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
share your own experiences and stories with your
Yes,
kids
yes.
so that they can actually learn from it and not just believe everything you're telling them.
Yeah. There will be more detail to the reasoning behind it, but like it's a good advice if I absorb it or
Hmm.
if the kid absorbs it. So but looking back, I do think that he was trying to warn me not to be myself and do dumb things, which I still didn't listen. Other than that, I would give myself advice in terms of doing a better job with like eating better
Hmm.
to gain weight. I think had I have learned more about the proper ways to eat
Well, that
while
was my
training,
point.
but like mine is at a different level. It's not like I wanted to gain weight. I had a very hard time gaining weight. I still do.
Well, regardless of the goal, it's like just understanding how to plan, I guess, like, or how
Meal prep. I think meal prepping was
not
something I
even
never
meal
did.
prep, but it's just understanding like how protein, fats, and carbs affect your body.
Yeah, well, when I was younger and I was training, the boys and I used to go to pizza after every workout and dust a medium pizza. Every workout at night. And this was at like midnight. Okay, that's another thing. Sleep. I would have taught myself how to sleep better. I used to sleep like 4 or 5 hours a day.
See, that's not a big thing, I think, when you're at that age. It's like you can still, that's the only time in your life when you can still function off of 4 hours of sleep and get as much done.
Yeah, but that kind of conditioned me to now where I still can function off a little sleep, but I know how detrimental it is. Yeah, I can function, but is that actually healthy for me? No. So I'm so accustomed to it that nowadays that even if I do get only 5 or 6 hours of sleep, I'll still function throughout my day,
Yeah.
but it may not be beneficial for my body.
I think that's just a you thing. Like you just need to learn to prioritize like
No, but I didn't teach myself that from an early age.
okay, but that's something you could definitely get into the habit of even starting now. Like that's not a hard thing to
You say that,
learn.
but it still is difficult. Like I'll go to bed at like 11 and if I wake up at 5:30 I'm up and I'm ready to go. That's 6 hours of sleep.
Wow.
That was caught on film.
Well, the minimum you should be getting is 7, so I mean, you're not that far off.
Yeah,
It'd be different if it was like 3 hours.
but still.
But anyways.
And then there's you who can like sleep for 10 hours.
Oh, easily. Just you need a couple melatonin gummies and that's
But
that's all it
I
takes.
can't even do that. Like you know that I can't sleep in for that long.
I feel so bad for people who can't just sleep as naturally as I
Yeah.
do.
I don't understand it. Like I feel worse when I sleep that long.
Yeah.
But okay, other than the sleep advice, I still think I would teach myself to not be up so late. Like I used to go to bed at like 3 a.m.
I think yeah, I definitely like pulled a few late nighters
Mhm.
where you're staying up as late as possible. I definitely wouldn't recommend that, but I don't think that's something that has a huge impact on your your day at that age.
No, but in terms of like progress. So back then I still wanted to get jacked. So imagine the progress I could have been making. Like I was pretty much doing a lot of good stuff in the gym, but everything outside of the gym was terrible. D plus effort everything.
Yeah, like I guess you're seeing it from a fitness perspective,
Yeah.
whereas I'm looking at it as more of like I'm setting myself up just a better foundation overall.
Yeah. Also my lifting. I think I could have trained way better with more intent when I was younger. I kind of did I kind of did a lot of random stuff.
Yeah.
I never really had a plan.
I think when you're that age, if you're trying to get into the gym, for example, or learning something new, it's so easy to make friends.
Hmm.
Like you could go up to someone in the gym because first of all, when you go more often, you start seeing the same people all the time.
Yeah.
So you could easily go up to someone and just be like, "Hey, like I noticed you're doing this one exercise. Could you like tell me more about that?
Hmm.
Like what muscles it's working?"
Yeah. I think my ego was too big when I was younger, thinking that I knew everything. And look, for example, like I could have hired a coach a long time ago. I could have afforded it, no problem.
Hmm.
But I chose to think, oh, I can do this on my own. Had I have just gotten a coach early on, maybe the progression that I would have gotten from the beginning
Would be
would have been
better.
way better.
Yeah.
And that's why I always recommend to people like it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be young, you could be old, or old. You can get a trainer at any time, and you'll still learn and get better.
Yeah. Well, it's like the same thing for learning how to invest.
Hmm.
Like the internet will tell you not to go to a financial advisor at the bank because they'll put you in mutual funds that have high fees.
Hmm.
But that option is better than not investing anything at all.
Yeah.
So, whatever way you need to find the help to start, make sure you're doing it correctly is going to be the best way.
Yeah. I agree. I think I would have wanted to start bodybuilding earlier and actually pursue competing sooner. I had a lot of prime years that I could have done that, but the only downside is we did a lot of stuff together when we were dating, and with all the travel that we did, like we traveled a lot, I'd say that might have been affected had I have done the bodybuilding route. No,
I wouldn't trade that for anything.
no, I'm not saying, and that's the thing that's why I'm like kind of thinking about if I did do the bodybuilding thing earlier, I think that would have been what we would have lost and
I don't think so. I think we would have just
made it work.
tried to make it work where it's you have to think of it as like, okay, off season, we have the option of traveling if we want to for a week.
Yeah,
And then this is kind of when you're on prep. So it's like plan your trips during the off season. You could still make it work. Might be a bit harder with our jobs at the time,
yeah, yeah.
for sure, but doable.
Probably, yeah. It's hard. It's hard to think back and be like, oh, what would have happened if I did this, or what would have happened if I did that. I'm not saying that I regret it. It's just that could have been a pursuit that I had sooner.
I think if anything, like you said earlier, like working with a coach from the start,
Yeah, it probably would have made a big
you
difference.
could have made a lot more progress in those early years where you could come into a competition being way more competitive than like your first show, for example.
Yeah, because I only started being serious, like real serious, because that's when I hired a coach after we got married.
Hmm. But luckily, when you were younger, like you had a solid group of guys that would go to the gym with you every day, right?
Yeah, that's what was motivating back in the day. Was like we all would go to the gym. We all loved lifting.
So I think that's really important is finding a circle of friends or people who if it's something you want to get into or get better at, it's like find people who can do that thing and help you get better at it
Yeah,
because that's just going to help you succeed
I agree.
and learn how to differentiate. You know, this friend is kind of holding me back and not really supportive and just living like the type of lifestyle that I don't really align with.
Mhm.
Whereas this type of person I should be spending more time with.
I don't think I ever had that issue though. I don't think I've ever had really a friend who I'm like, I need to get rid of this person.
Yeah, not get rid of them, but just understanding like the different dynamics and how it can affect you.
Yeah. Still, I can't think of any friend that I'd be like, I would have spent less time with this individual and more time with this individual because I think I had such a strong balance with everybody.
Well, I think also at that age, you were all doing the same thing. You weren't like trying to get ahead of anyone. You were all kind of like at the same level.
Sort of. Like I think we were all on a very similar path going in one direction, but obviously we had some friends who were like really taking off. And that is someone who I actually spent a lot of time with already. And I did learn from that person. That person taught me a lot of things. Like the reason why I ever became a personal trainer is because of my best man,
Hmm.
right? So he's always been someone who's helped guide me into the right direction when it comes to uh, career choices, life choices, business,
Yeah.
like just the way to think.
And yeah, maybe it's a bit premature, I guess, when you're in your early 20s, but just having those types of people in your life
Yeah,
is important to build those connections because people say like you need to hear something 13 times before it actually resonates with you.
yeah,
So the more time you're spending with these types of people, like the better off you're going to be.
yeah. I think people build up their 20s way too much because I think life really starts after your 30s.
Yeah.
Like 20s is like your what do you call it, soft launch.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of just figuring out life and who you are as a person, what you want to do for a career.
Yeah.
where you want to live.
And then in your 30s, you're like executing on the plans that you've established and the habits you've built. And maybe you haven't built those things and you're still working on them. Like, that's fine. It's just, if you're going to be in your 50s and you're still trying to figure that out, then I don't know anymore. Then maybe you should watch this podcast on repeat and think about all the things you could have done in your 20s and say you should have done that for every year up until your 50s. But
No, but I think it's also really important to lean on the connections that you do have in your life.
yeah.
Like, I know some people who want to be super independent and they want to say that, the path that they've taken and all their accomplishments were completely self-made, and like that's great. But if you can use someone who's offering you an opportunity like
Mhm.
to your advantage, then 100% just take it.
Yeah. Like, now that I think about it, a piece of advice that I wouldn't give myself because I think I already had it, but this is something that I would tell to someone in their 20s is have a mentor. Have someone like what you just said, where like this person is someone you look up to, they're doing better than you, and you want to get to their level. Not saying like don't hang around people who are doing worse than you or at the same level, but like make sure you have that one person that you can look up to, and you're like, I take your advice seriously and I actually want to listen to what you have to say.
Hmm.
Not, oh, because there's so many people you'll meet in life where you give them advice or they give you advice and either you don't listen to it or they don't listen to it. Like,
Yeah.
actually listen to this person's advice because they're clearly doing something right. Right.
And I think that's also really important in your relationship. So, actually, my biggest advice to my younger self is like, don't waste your time with toxic people in relationships. Like, you can't change them. And
Yeah.
if they're showing you red flags, like, don't be in denial. Like, actually take that for what it is and move on. It's better off being single than being with someone who doesn't align with you, like, doesn't share the same values,
Mm.
is kind of holding you back. Like, in your gut that they're really not that great of a person, then take it for what it is. Like, yeah, it's gonna suck, but you're gonna be a lot better off without them.
I don't know if I would give myself that advice because, like, yeah, there's obviously been a lot of downsides to previous relationships and just like things that happen. But I wouldn't, because who knows? What if I said to myself, go back in time and don't do this, don't do that. And then what happens if I never met you? Like,
Yeah, I'm not really saying I would change anything about my own journey, but that's the advice I guess I would give to
yes,
someone
yes, yeah,
right
yeah,
now in their
exactly. Yes,
20s.
yes, yes. Because I think a lot of those experiences that I had taught me a lot of lessons. Like, those are the things that taught me what I don't want in a relationship or what I don't want to see in a person.
But I think there's like so many dating shows now where you can literally just learn that by like watching Love
No,
Island,
you
and
can't.
you
You
know
need to.
what
You
you
can't.
don't want
No,
and what you do
I don't
want.
agree with that. I think you need to firsthand
Or Love is
experience it.
Blind. Like,
No,
I feel like watching those types of shows
we're not a chance.
teach you so many lessons where you don't actually have to experience that yourself.
Right. That is like the fakest stuff that you could use as an example
It's not
to learn
though.
from. That stuff is all scripted. Okay,
It's
I
not. Those
don't
are real life people
I don't agree.
having conversations and dating.
I don't agree with that statement there. I personally will say I don't agree with that statement.
I
You need to live.
honestly would recommend everyone watch Love is Blind because sometimes I'm listening to these conversations. I'm like, if I would have just heard this when I was younger, like, this is so educational.
Wow, that is such a hot take. That is the hottest take of 2025 that I've heard. I think,
But it really is like, okay, I can see that this guy is a walking red flag, that you can apply that to your own life.
yeah, but that's because you've lived your life already to now see that person. But back in the day, if you ran into that same person, you wouldn't have seen it as red flag. You might have been like, "Oh, I'm gonna give this guy a chance," because it's like the same thing when you were younger, where you gave those guys that
There's
were huge red flags a
there's a
chance.
difference between giving them a chance and actually being in a relationship with them.
I
And
no,
just wasting like years of your life with someone who is not a good person for you.
my take on that is I think you should actually do the opposite, and I think you should try dating more in your 20s and learning what you do and don't like Not saying it's not okay to be single, but I think that is life experience that you need to build up so that when you enter, your 30s, 40s, 50s, you know what you want. But like, let's say you're 45 years old and you've never dated a single person in your life. Doesn't matter how many TV shows you've ever watched. You don't know what you want and you don't know what you like because
I
you've never experienced any of
I
it.
think we're gonna agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. If you think you should actually watch more Love is Blind for your dating advice, or you should actually date to learn an
Hey,
experience.
dating's expensive.
Doesn't have to be. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Um, Hopefully, you guys were able to take some of those lessons uh, to heart if you're in your 20s. And I'm very curious, if you're someone who's past their 20s, if you have advice you would have given yourself or if you would give other people in their 20s moving forward. So drop that in the comments. Thanks, guys. See
Bye.
ya.